G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the Super Dragon Ball Heroes Extreme Z battle. So we've got the Super Dragon Ball Heroes Extreme Z battle. Basically this is a pretty cool event. It's got a lot of Extreme Z awakenings with it, and yeah, basically it's a great way to Extreme Z awaken some of the older Super Dragon Ball Heroes units, and a lot of them become very good. So the effective category here is Dragon Ball Heroes. We're going to be doing the entire thing with a free-to-play team, so you shouldn't really have any problems. All I can suggest is getting the free-to-play units. Also, these free-to-play units can be Extreme Z awakened themselves from the Super Dragon Ball Heroes Extreme Z area. I have not Extreme Z awakened them, so you should do so, and that will make your time a lot easier. Now, in terms of the units and their Extreme Z awakenings, overall there's a lot here. So to count them all out, there's Great Saiyaman 4, or Great Saiyaman 3 I should say, Silas, Supreme Kai of Time, Xeno Vegeta Super Saiyan 3, Xeno Goku Super Saiyan 3, there is the Golden Cooler, the Cumber, and Superfood. Now these stages change as we go along, and the opponents will change. At first they change every 3 stages, then they change every 4 stages, and then they change every 5 stages, with Fuu being the longest one at 6. In terms of the units, obviously the typings will change, so all typings are relatively effective, although you might want to balance your team based on the enemy you're facing. So if you're facing a TEQ type, try and adjust to have INT type units, etc. Then beyond that, the standard rules apply for most Extreme Z battles. So the units eventually have damage reduction, higher levels of damage reduction, immunity to defense lowering, immunity to stunning, immunity to attack lowering, immunity to sealing, and to stunning, and to defense lowering, and to attack lowering. From stage 20 onwards they'll be immune to sealing, from stage 5 onwards immune to stunning, and yeah, the other two just kind of occur naturally throughout the way as well. In terms of the team that we're going to be using, like I mentioned, we're going to be using an entirely free to play Dragon Ball Heroes team made up entirely of the free-to-play units. Our lead is going to be the physical Demon Goddess Poutine, who's a 50% lead. So her EZA immediately is going to help out quite a bit with the additional increased stats. But as I mentioned, you should do the Extreme Z area beforehand. Also, don't copy this team. This is really not a good team, but it's just to show that you can get things done. So we'll talk about our team, and then we will have a chat about the units that are kind of involved. So we have Lags, which is the latest free-to-play unit that has been added into the Dragon Ball Heroes free-to-play pool. She's a pretty strong unit who gets a lot stronger in terms of her abilities the lower our health is, or the lower the target's health is as well. So she's pretty strong from that perspective, fairly good, fairly strong character that I think a lot of players will appreciate using. Then obviously as lead, as I mentioned, we have Demon Goddess Poutine, a support type unit who also debuffs the enemy and can seal them, which is going to be pretty useful again for the most part as we take things on. Alongside them we have a couple other useful additions. We have the strength version of Cumber, which is a base Saiyan version. We then also have the Great Saiyaman 4, which is a free-to-play summonable Great Saiyaman. We have the TEQ Demon God Salsa, who is a unit that probably is the least whelming of these. And then we have Arms, third form Arms. So pretty interesting units. Obviously again, all of them have Extreme Z awakenings. I suggest you do so. But Great Saiyaman 4 is a youth category or superclass support. the evil genius or demon god Salsa is just basically a evasion based unit who's pretty good. And then we also have the pretty decent Arms as well, who's an artificial life form support, but yeah, basically also not too bad. So we have a pretty interesting kind of lineup. Obviously we're pretty extreme focused. The best choice for you throughout most of the Extremes battle is going to be using the brand new Super Hearts as your leader choice. The main reason being is his leader skill is obviously pretty good. Dragon Ball Heroes and crossover, so all of these units are under 200% leader skills, which is pretty solid. But also he actually gives a buff for all allies if the entire rotation is extreme, which makes him the best choice because he's actually going to augment most of your allies. You only have one superclass unit, I believe, out of the entire free-to-play roster. So generally speaking, going the whole Super Hearts route is actually for the best, at least for me. So yes, beyond that, obviously that's pretty much the team build. We'll talk about the units, starting with Great Saiyaman 3, pretty strong unit. So he gets a really nice change. Before he was pretty limited. He now has a flat 130% and has an additional attack and defense of 30% per time travelers category unit on the team, which is really solid when you consider that every hero's unit's a time travelers unit. He still maintains his defensive debuff, but he's now got damage reduction 4 counters as well, and yeah, he's looking pretty good. Obviously if he gets supered he could still take quite a bit of damage, but overall this guy's looking really solid. He's going to be a fun unit to try out on the Defenders of Justice team, but also he's a really cool, interesting unit. I think they did his EZA really well. Then we have Silas, which I think is a unit that I was enjoying before, and now I will enjoy even more afterwards. He's got a flat attack and defense, 100%. Got an additional key added to him as well. Maintained his 100% on attack and has slightly better support conditions. He also has a high chance of evading, which is pretty good. And he raises defense now, which is helpful on his super attack. When he transforms, he becomes a lot better as well. Beforehand, he had attack and defense of 60%, 120% attack and defense when performing a super, and now that's been adjusted, so it's 120 on both sides, and he can build up attack and defense with each attack performed. He also has guaranteed critical hits when the target enemy is an attack down or defense down, and he also has a high chance of launching an additional super attack, which is all really good. Silas is really fun as a unit. I think he's really exciting to use as a unit, and so it's going to be fun to see just how good he is after his Extreme Z Awakening. So his link set's also pretty interesting, especially with Super Hearts in the mix. So I think it could be a pretty potent pairing. Then we have the Sacred Power of Time, Supreme Kai of Time, the unit we're facing right now in the Extreme Z battle. And she's also pretty good. She's a Dragon Ball Heroes category lead, which is great. But she really is a universal support. So she's an all allies key of 140%, of 40%, which is great. A 12% crit chance. She has a high chance of additional 12% attack and defense, and she recovers 12% at the end of the turn in terms of health. She now has attack and defense of 120%, and she massively raises her attack and defense for one turn, which is pretty good. Overall, she's very solid. Universal support, limited in categories, but just anytime you have an unconditional 40% support and potentially 52% support is pretty good. Not to mention 12% health recovery is really solid, and not to mention the fact that she also is very defensively sound after her super attacks. So she's pretty exciting. I think she's obviously one of the units people enjoyed the most when she first came out, and I think she's even now still very good. So I think she's pretty solid. Not to mention she's still on the Defenders of Justice category, so she can actually be used under Videl's leader skill. Just a shame she's missing Pepe Gals. I think that's the only shame with this unit. Not sure why, but I mean, I guess, yeah, they don't want to say that Supreme Kai is a Pepe Gal, if that makes sense. Then, from Supreme Kai of Time, we get into the Xeno units. So the Xeno units are pretty good. I don't want to speak too early, but I think they look very, very, very impressive. Goku, more so than the others, is obviously very impressive. I think whenever you have units with guard or damage reduction, especially when you have units that have both, I think people are always bound to be impressed because, you know, rationally speaking, they just have very, very good defensive capabilities. You know, guard immediately reduces damage quite significantly. Then, yeah, damage reduction, yeah, really, really good. So, honestly speaking, I think, yeah, Goku at least is already a fantastic unit. Gotta be honest with you, I think he's one of the better tanks in the game. He doesn't really have scaling defense so much, in that he can't scale his defense up with, you know, stacking. But I think his defense, especially right now, is probably very much high enough. We'll take a look at him in another video. But I think out of all the units, he's one of the ones that will age best, just due to the fact that he has the combination of damage reduction and guard, which really helps you in a lot of content. So him, yeah, damage reduction 15% for 3 turns. He's also got another 35% depending on Dragon Ball Heroes. He also has 100% defense, 20% per unit depending on Dragon Ball Heroes again. He has an additional 50% when attacking, and he has 150% stock standard. He also guards all attacks, is on a metric crap ton of categories, and he has pretty good link set. Saiyan Lineage, Super Saiyan, Golden Warrior, Kamehameha, Over in a Flash, Limit Breaking Performance, Shattering the Limit. Vegeta himself, also very similarly, very, very good. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack for 3 turns from the start of battle. Has attack and defense of 150%, disables enemy's guard, which means he's always hitting type neutral. He has an additional attack and defense of 50% when performing a super attack, and he builds his attack up per Dragon Ball Heroes category unit. I think the big thing with Vegeta is that he's raw defense. People are finding that raw defense isn't always enough, but I think Vegeta as a unit, you know, considering the categories he's on and considering how he works, I think is still very, very good. So Vegeta, very good. Goku, very, very good. Both of them, excellent units. Must admit, I think they both are very, very, very solid units, and I'm honestly super happy with how they did their easy A's. I think they could have maybe given Goku raising defense. I know they gave him raising attack. They could have given him even 1 turn raising defense. Just always nice to have a unit tank better post super, more so than anything else. But you also have to factor in that he does greatly raise his attack as well. So Goku, very nice. Vegeta, super nice. I think for the most part, both units are very good. Then we get to Golden Cooler. I think his EZA as well, also very strong. Very strong on a Heroes team per se, but I still think very strong. He has attack and defense of 130%, which is fantastic. He raises attack permanently on his super. Raises defense for 1 turn, which is very good. He gets an additional 30% defense when performing a super attack. And he also reduces damage received by 10% within the same turn with each super attack performed. So that means he can get up to 30% damage reduction, but he also has the built-in ability of launching 2 additional attacks, which already have high chances of becoming super attacks. So he's very good. Obviously this is kind of under the condition that he has 3 Dragon Ball Heroes category allies on the team, but to be honest with you, that's becoming a lot easier as the category expands. So his defensive boost becomes a lot better. His damage reduction really kicks in and helps him out a lot. And the increased EZA stats will help out quite a bit as well. I think for the most part, he looks really solid. And being a 40% support is good, especially on the Heroes team. He's going to help out that, he's going to really help out that whole Extreme Heroes team a lot, which I quite like. I like the Extreme Heroes team, so seeing it get some love is always something that's greatly appreciated. And I think TEQ Cooler is very good on that end. And then finally we have Cumber and we have Fuu. Cumber, very interesting. Obviously you've got the Great Ape form, which has Ki +3 basically, which is pretty good, and can stun, which is interesting. Then you have his base form, which is also pretty good. Greatly raising attack and defense in one turn, I think is great. He has 200% attack and defense, which is a great start buff. He has an additional defense of 50% within the same turn after receiving an attack. That's also very good to have added in. And he has a high chance of stunning the attacked superclass enemies. This is a very strong ability. To be honest with you, it's incredibly powerful because it could really just make SBR and ESBR runs super easy. So he's very good from that perspective. He's a huge buff for the giant form category, which I think is one of the categories that craves this Cumber the most. So I'm really happy with how they've done that and changed him. Overall, I think it's a really good choice, a really good Extreme Z Awakening. Then we get into Super Fuu, which is the final one. By the way, I did have to equip gear onto my units to get them to handle the last stage of Super Fuu. The free-to-play units did okay, but I found myself losing with Super Fuu having, like always, a bar left of health. So I just basically added on some health equipment, a little bit of evasion equipment, none of my super valuable equipment, and just some generic either health or defensive gear, and that seemed to solve the problem. I had no real issues on this run. So yeah, just as a heads up, if you are planning on using the same team. Now Super Fuu becomes 150% Dragon Ball Heroes lead. He was the original Dragon Ball Heroes lead when he first released. And yeah, it's very cool to see him kind of get a bit of love. Dragon Ball Heroes being 150% category, he greatly raises attack and defense for one turn, which is great. Now he's interesting in that he has 150% attack and defense when performing a super attack. He has Ki +1 up to 5 and attack and defense of up to 50%, and his evasion chance of up to 50% per time Traveler's category unit. Again, this is great synergy because most, or if not all, crossover units / Dragon Ball Heroes units are time travelers. So he's pretty good. He has an additional attack of 50% when HP is 50% or less, and he will have an additional attack and defense of 50% within the same turn after evading an attack. Now all of these are quite multiplicative, so his defense can actually get pretty high. He's not in essence a first slot unit, but he can get really impressively high in terms of defense. He also has a good link set, Cold Judgment, Brainiacs, Demonic Power, Solid Support, so he has a pretty interesting link set, and he can link quite interestingly with some other units. I think for me he looks really good. I think for me, honestly speaking, a lot of people underrate him because his start of turn stats don't look that impressive. He's not got 400k defense showing after you open up the turn. But after he supers, he's going to have huge defense. Very similar to God Trunks. God Trunks will have like 150k defense and people will think that's low. But it's the way the on super effect multiplies into that, which makes it incredibly impressive. So yeah, for me, Trunks, very good. Fuu, very good. And I think Fuu is just basically, at least for me, on the surface level, an augmented version of Trunks. So Trunks is very similar to Fuu in that Trunks gains 30% per Dragon Ball Heroes category unit. Fuu gains 10% per time travelers. They both have a high on super boost, and Trunks has that high chance of crit, whereas Fuu has that high chance of evasion. I think all of them are very good. I think Trunks is very good, and I think Fuu could also be a unit that's very good. What's actually quite interesting is that Trunks and Fuu are not dissimilar in performance. So I think if you like Trunks, you'll like Fuu. If you didn't like how Trunks worked, then you probably won't like Fuu. I think that's the easiest way to put it, but I think both are great units, and I think Fuu, very nice easy A. Overall, just a lot better. The ability to increase his attack and defense, the greatly raising attack and defense, and also just the general overall performance of the unit I think is good with the increased stats. Not to mention the evasion is also really important, and the way these kind of multiply into each other. So that's it. Obviously you saw me complete it with the free-to-play team. You don't have to do so, but yeah, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.